excited when you come around. You come around. It's crazy.
Hi, this is John Lee, and thank you for tuning in to today's video. This is Synfig video tutorial number 2. We'll be covering the animation basics in Synfig Studio, and you can follow along on the Synfig website if you like by heading over to www.synfig.org, click on Documentation, click on Manual, and under the Diving In chapter, choose Animation Basics. And here it is. This is what we'll be recreating in video tutorial format. Essentially, it's a red dot moving from left to right and back again, sort of recreating the classic, iconic Knight Rider eyeball, which was a red dot that made futuristic sounds as it moved from left to right. So the first thing we want to do is click on Synfig Studio. It'll open up a new project, and you want to change your settings by hitting on the caret menu button, which is directly under the toggle position handles on the upper left corner of your canvas. And you choose Edit, Properties. Here you can change our properties. Here we have Canvas Info. Under Name, I'm going to change it to Knight Rider. And under Description, I'm going to change it to My First Animation. Under the Image tab, you have all these different options that you can fiddle around with. I have the width set to 1920 and the height set to 1080. That's standard 1080p format. And under the Time tab, we're going to change our end time from 5 seconds to 2 seconds. So that sets our project to 2 seconds long. The first thing I want to do is draw a black background on our canvas, and we do that first by clicking on the rectangle tool. Let's also zoom out of our canvas so that we get a full view of our canvas, like so. And now we have our rectangle tool selected. Let's change the fill color from red to black. Now I already have black set up for the outline color for this upper left rectangle, but I'm just going to swap the frames. But if you actually wanted to change the fill color by choosing from a predefined set of palettes, you can go over here to the palette editor on the upper right, and here you have a predefined set of colors to choose from. All you have to do is click on it. There you go. So now that we have black set as our fill, left click on your mouse button, drag down to the lower right corner, and there it creates a black rectangle which serves as our background. The next thing we want to do is create the circle, but we want to change the circle back to the fill color back to red so that we get a red circle. And I want to draw your attention to the circle tool parameters here, which is this middle panel on the right corner. I have Create Circle Layer checked and everything else unchecked. And the Create Circle Layer is great for creating circles, but that's all you can do. You can't change the shape of your circle to be a square or a star or any other form. It'll always be a circle throughout the course of your animation. So that's a specialized layer specifically to create circles. If you actually wanted to create a circle that could change shape from frame to frame, you would choose Create Region and or Create Outline if you wanted the circle to have an outline. And you would head over to the bottom here, and spline points, you would set that to however many points you want your circle to start off with. 4 is the default setting, but you can set that up to be more than that if you want more points to play with. And you would push and pull your points around the canvas to become the shape that you want that circle to turn into, if that's what you wanted. But for the purposes of this video tutorial, we're going to stick with Create Circle Layer. We won't need much more than that. And now that I have my red fill color selected, I'm going to right click anywhere on the left side of the canvas and drag out, and there it creates our circle. Now I'm going to select the Transform tool, and you'll notice that it has 2 handles that automatically appear. This green handle in the center is our origin point. If you left click on that, you can actually drag the position of your circle around. The other handle is our radius handle, which if you drag on that, left click and drag, it'll change the size of your circle. So those are nice default handles that come with the Create Circle layer. It makes manipulating a circle a little faster and easier. And now we want to animate our circle going from left to right and back again. So we do that by heading over to Animating mode. turn on animate editing mode. It's this little green man on the lower right corner of your canvas. When you're in the non-animating mode, you basically use the non-animating mode to create your artwork and your assets and your library of artwork. But when you go into animating mode, it turns into a red man, and that's where you can actually animate your artwork and the assets that you created in the non-animating mode. So it can be very easy to forget whether you're in animating mode or non-animating mode. So just be aware that if you want to animate, this little red button has to be a red running man. So the next thing we want to do is set up some keyframes, and here we have our keyframes tab on the panel at the bottom. If you click on that, you'll see these little buttons at the bottom: add new keyframe, duplicate keyframe, remove keyframe, keyframe properties, kind of self-explanatory. And here on the right is our timeline. At the 0 frame mark, we want to create a keyframe, so we'll do that by add new keyframe. And what that does is it memorizes the position of your circle along with every single other property about that circle, like its color and its size, etc. So that's our starting point of our circle at the 0 frame mark. At the 2 second mark, just head on over there. Okay, there we go. The 2 second mark, we'll add another keyframe. That's our end position of the circle. At the end of the animation, the circle will end up here in the exact same spot as where it started. And in the middle, we'll create another keyframe. But this time, we want to have our circle go to the right of the screen, so I'll click on the origin, just drag it over to a suitable position on the right side of the canvas, and there we go. So that's at the 1 second mark. Now watch what happens when we hit play. First, I'm going to move our cursor to the beginning of the timeline, and Synfig draws every single animation in between. There we go. That's our Knight Rider. Alright, so this is our completed animation. Now we actually want to save our project. And you can do that by clicking on the caret menu button on the upper left corner of your canvas, not the file button on the upper left corner of your toolbox. People tend to confuse that a lot. You have to be, well, I guess you could save there, but make sure you're clicking on the caret menu button because there are certain menu items that aren't on your file menu options of your toolbox. So caret menu button, very important. So I'm going to click File, Save As, and find the directory where you want to save your project. I'm already set it, the directory where I want to save things. And I will call this nightrider.civs. And then you click Save, you saved your project. The next thing we want to do is render. So again, you click the caret menu button, hit File, and then there's an option to render at the bottom. Here, I'll call this Knight Rider. It's already set up for nightrider.png, but we want to change this to, we want this to render as a GIF. So change it from nightrider.png to nightrider.gif, GIF. And then under Target, change it from Auto to GIF. These are the different file formats / containers that you can save your animation as, but I'm going to save this as GIF. And then you hit the render button all the way at the bottom right corner here. So now Synfig will be thinking a little bit. Here it says rendering and your project name. And you can see that Synfig is thinking. It has this little black DOS command line information. I'm using the Windows 64-bit version of Synfig, by the way, but there are also versions in Linux and Mac. I'm not sure what the command line window looks like there. Probably something similar to this. So you just wait for that to finish. Hopefully this will be finished quickly. It's rendering each frame one at a time. It's a good thing we chose 2 seconds instead of 200 seconds, huh? Because you'd be sitting here forever. Alright, and it should be done any moment now. Any moment now. Okay, it looks like it's finished. So now I'm going to head over to my file directory where I saved my project and rendered the GIF file, and there you see it. There's the GIF. We double click. There's our animation. Huh. I wonder if that looks better in... It creates this weird artifacting thing. I don't know why. I wonder if I have any special effects turned on. But that's essentially our animation. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video tutorial. Thanks for tuning in, and if you like this video, please click subscribe or like. And thanks for watching. See you in Synfig video tutorial number 3, where we'll be covering layers. Thanks for tuning in.